It is finally here, the final game week of the FPL season, game week 38. And in this video, I'm going to be revealing my final transfer plans of the season. In particular, whether I'm going to be taking a punt on arguably one of the greatest FPL players ever, or am I going to play safe with an Arsenal midfielder? We're going to discuss all of that in today's video. As always, for the final time, make sure you drop a like on the video and of course, hit that subscribe button. And without chatting anymore, let's get into today's video. So first up, a quick review on how double game week 37 is going so far. For those that are regular watchers, I do apologise for my absence over the last few game weeks. I had a decent excuse, ended up getting married and also went off on my honeymoon, as well as then being best man for my friend's wedding. So it's been a crazy 2.5, 3 weeks, but we're finally back for game week 38. So game week 37 is still in flow. We got loads of games left, but currently sat at 49,000th in the world. I activated my bench boost. I made 2 forced transfers of Fabian Schär to Van der Ven, which has paid off massively already. And I made the Maguire to Dan Burn move for the 2-pointer right now. Currently on 72 points, team's looking good, small green arrow. The disaster is, of course, Bruno Fernandes being ruled out for the first game, and now it sounds like it could be for the Newcastle game as well. So a little bit annoying on that front, but the bench boost is going okay right now. I'm hoping we can have some big scores from the likes of maybe Newcastle against Man United to really get us past that 100-point score. But I'm hoping I can maybe finish this game week around 45k, maybe 40k at a push to give myself an opportunity to get into that top 30k for the end of the season. Let me know how you're getting on so far this season, but let's get into game week 38 because, of course, that is where our priorities are going to be right now. Right, taking a look at my current team for game week 38, as I mentioned, I was forced to make 2 free transfers. The plan was always to use 1 in double game week 37 and then have 2 available for 38. But unfortunately in FPL, you cannot control injuries. So my hand was forced. So only left 1 free transfer right now. And taking a look at my team, it's good. It's really good. I don't think there are many things I want to change in this. Now, of course, could I have had Gvardiol of Man City? Of course. I would love to have brought him in. And ironically, if I didn't have those injuries, he was my planned transfer last week, but it is what it is. And going into game week 38, I would love to have him in my team, but I just can't really see myself doing it because it would require me to sell a Man City player to then bring in Gvardiol for a -4. That is not a good use of my transfers at all. I'm just going to settle with Ederson. The back 3 are great. I'm not moving away from double Arsenal defence. Pedro Porro away against Sheffield United, I think, has that potential to be not only a clean sheet, but attacking returns, which we've already seen in game week 37. So I don't think a defensive transfer is worth it at all for this team. Moving into midfield, Son I'm perfectly fine with, unless Spurs just look awful against Man City. Foden at home against West Ham, perfectly good as they could be winning the title there. And of course, Cole Palmer just ticking over nicely. No reasons to move him out. The 2 things that I could do with this team is get rid of Gordon or Bruno Fernandes. And realistically, based on what we've seen with Man United and Fernandes currently being injured, Bruno Fernandes is definitely the person that needs to be sold in this team to make way for another midfielder, which we will discuss about. When we look at the forwards, Erling Haaland, of course, we're not going to be getting rid of. Nicholas Jackson has been basically the superhero over the last few weeks, and I really do like this fixture at home against Bournemouth, who could potentially be on the beach in that final game of the season, and Alexander Isak away against Brentford, who, again, I don't really want to sell unless it is part of a -4 for another midfielder, which I will touch on in a minute. So, on the face of it, realistically, it is going to be a midfielder coming into this team for a 1 free transfer. And let's talk about the players that are in my considerations right now. Okay, so first up, from a midfield perspective, it does make sense for me to go for an Arsenal player. I'm already tripled up on Man City. I'm already tripled up on Chelsea. Arsenal is the big standout. I have the double defence. They have a really good fixture at home against Everton, who look like they're safe. So it's all good for them. And it's an opportunity for Arsenal to really go out on the final day of the season and hopefully win the title from their perspective. And the 3 best options from midfield is Odegaard, Saka and Havertz. Yes, Trossard's ticked over nicely, but again, we could see some minutes managed alongside Martinelli depending on what game state it is. So I think Odegaard, Saka and Havertz's game time is the most secure for this final game. The issue right now is Bukayo Saka, while he's on penalties, did hobble off in that game against Man United. So we have no guarantees whether Bukayo Saka, at the time of recording, will be available for that game. We will get some more information, hopefully, between now and that deadline on the weekend. Havertz is the one that's really caught my attention though recently. He's only 7.5 million, but to be honest with you, budget isn't an issue right now in this last game of the season. Playing as the number 9, I've taken the data from game week 27 to 38 because I appreciate in the opening stages of the season, Havertz was playing as a midfielder. I really want to focus on the period where he's been playing as a number 9 predominantly because that is what we're looking at right now. I don't see him dropping into the number 8 role for this final game unless the injury maybe to Saka's force his hand. I don't think it will at all though. So Havertz's numbers have been fantastic. You can see here, XG per 90, 0.41. He's also very creative in this team, 0.38 expected assists. And you can also see from a bonus perspective, he is actually the best of the bunch at 1.05. Now, Bukayo Saka, XG is the best, but remember that does include penalties as well. But penalties are always great when we are considering an FPL option. And in terms of Odegaard, he is the one that I really think is the biggest differential, and he does step up in these sorts of games. However, XG of 0.2 and expected assists of 0.27, I'm not seeing enough there to suggest that I need to be picking him over somebody like Kai Havertz, who is playing as a number 9 in this Arsenal team. So to conclude, Saka right now is a big maybe because of him limping off against Man United. If he was to be confirmed fit and raring to go for the game, being on penalties, I do think he is the number 1 pick, but being in my position right now, not at the rank I'm particularly happy with, I think I'd rather go for the punt, quote unquote, of Kai Havertz. Playing as a number 9 in this system, the underlying numbers do suggest it is the right option as well. So I can see myself doing Bruno Fernandes to Kai Havertz to get myself a piece of that attacking pie of Arsenal in the final game of the season. However, there is one player who is really sticking out in my mind that I want to go for, and it would require a -4. So let's touch on that now, but the sensible play is going for Kai Havertz. So as I discussed, Bruno Fernandes to Kai Havertz makes a lot of sense. However, I just don't really know how that game is going to go for Arsenal. I do think they will beat Everton, but can I see them coming out and just absolutely steamrolling them? I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I do think Arteta is going for a bit more of a pragmatic approach at the back end of this season, and we could see them steamrolling 4-5-0 and boost their goal difference. However, we could just see a situation where they maybe see out the game, maybe a 1-0 or a 2-0. So when I look at final game week punts, I want to look at maybe teams that are either playing for something, they're playing for their manager, or maybe they're just an attacking team in general. And I think these players tick all those boxes. So first up, Liverpool have a game at home against Wolves, who have conceded a hatful of goals against Man City only a few weeks ago. And remember, the final game at Anfield, which in itself always kind of boosts the opportunity for Liverpool, but also the final game ever for Jurgen Klopp at home against a Wolves team who have absolutely nothing to play for. And when I start to add those things up, I think to myself, that is the game where if there are going to be loads of goals and a bit of a mayhem, it could be that Liverpool game. I wouldn't be surprised if that game was 5-2, for example, because there's just not going to be any nerves in that game. It is going to be playing for Klopp for one final time, and whatever the score will be now, knowing now that they're basically out of the title race. Luis Diaz is the one that I could do for one free transfer. I could easily go Bruno Fernandes to Luis Diaz, and that would be my pick. However, if we're going to go for a Liverpool player, it's got to be Mo Salah, and it would require a -4 of me downgrading Alexander Isak to a cheap, basically bench, a budget enabler, and then upgrading Bruno Fernandes to Mo Salah, and I would put the captaincy on him if that is the case. I just think Mo Salah at home against Wolves one final time feels like the more exciting pick other than the Arsenal choice. Now, outside of that, part of a one free transfer move could be going for Michael Olise, who's been fantastic recently, who have, I would say, a trickier game, but at home against Aston Villa, who aren't necessarily keeping clean sheets right now, I think this is a great fixture for Crystal Palace. And of course, Eze is a safe option as well. And I think they're playing for the manager right now. Glazer wants to finish the season strong, and we are seeing a real good link between the manager and the team. So, to conclude, Crystal Palace, I would have to really be tempted to go there over Kai Havertz in Liverpool. I don't think that will happen. Luis Diaz, I can't see myself going there because I think I prefer Kai Havertz as a number 9. However, Kai Havertz versus a -4 for Mo Salah. Even though this one's for a -4, I just feel like this is the more exciting pick, especially for somebody who is chasing a little bit right now in his overall rank. So we'll take a look at how these teams look, but Mo Salah is calling me for one final time this year. So on your screens here, you can see my Game Week 38 team with what I would argue is probably the sensible transfer of doing Bruno Fernandes to Kai Havertz, which would push Anthony Gordon onto the bench. Although there could be an argument maybe we go for Gordon over someone like Alexander Isak. Maybe that decision comes closer to the deadline. But this is how the team would look. Captaincy on Erling Haaland, vice captaincy on Cole Palmer. And I'm really happy with this team. I do think Gordon could easily hurt me on that bench, but I do feel like having a piece of that Arsenal attack is actually quite important going into this game week. So this team here makes a lot of sense. However, as I've discussed, I am really compelled to go with someone like Mo Salah right now, just because of all these things adding up, being at home with Jurgen Klopp's farewell game. So what would happen if I do that? Forget about Kai Havertz here right now. I would end up actually moving that to Mo Salah. So of course it would be Bruno Fernandes to Mo Salah. I would then downgrade Alexander Isak to free up the funds. That could go down to someone like a Bournemouth Semenyo. Then I would bring Gordon into the midfield and we would have basically Ederson in goal. The back three, as you can see on your screens. I would then have a midfield five of Gordon, Mo Salah, Son, Foden and Palmer. And then I would have a front two of Haaland and Nicholas Jackson. And bringing in Mo Salah for a -4 would then probably force me to put the captaincy on Mo Salah and just go all in on him as the pick with the vice captaincy on Erling Haaland. Now, of course, lots of things there that are risky. Going against the Erling Haaland captaincy, which is going to be really, really big. And then also taking a -4 in a game week where I don't think a lot of managers will be taking a -4. But also, will a lot of them have ownership in Liverpool attack? Probably not. So the logical one is the team that you can see on your screens right now. But the one that my heart is telling me right now is going for the Mo Salah pick. So make sure you stay tuned for this week. I'm going to be dropping videos every single day and hopefully a live stream every other day going through your questions. So if you want to follow one last time, make sure you do subscribe to follow this. But I am leaning more towards the Mo Salah one rather than the sensible team right now. Yes, guys, okay, so that wraps up today's transfer plans video. As I said, we're going to be doing daily content to finish off this season strong alongside live streams. So if you're looking for that final week of tips or maybe just a little bit of entertainment, this is your final time to subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer them. Have an amazing day and I will see you very soon. Take care. Cheers.